Hello, chismosas y chismosos, and welcome back to Bay Area Housewife of True Crime, where I like to tell the stories of the real cucuys and lloronas of the world. I'm Audrey, a paralegal turned stay-at-home mom who loves true crime. The cases I cover are wild, topics may be triggering, viewer and listener discretion is very strongly advised. The people mentioned are innocent until proven guilty in court. With all that being said, grab your hot Cheetos and let's get started on today's case. In May of 2010, 47-year-old Lee Bell murdered 52-year-old Perla Ann Lewis. Lee Bell had a violent history dating back to 1995. Lee and Perla met in 2008, and their relationship was toxic and filled with domestic violence. Police had been called on at least 2 occasions to intervene. Perla was struggling with drug addiction, and Lee supplied her with drugs. It was very normal to see Perla with bruises on her face, body, and I'm sure places not easily seen. On May 18th of 2010, a San Francisco resident and his young niece were walking on the Embarcadero when they discovered a suitcase near Folsom Street. Lee Bell had strangled Perla Lewis to death, stuffed her naked, lifeless body into a suitcase, and dumped her into the San Francisco Bay. When homicide detectives went looking for him, he was easy to find as he was already at the San Francisco County Jail for violating the terms of his probation on a prior conviction for grand theft. After he was arrested, he was held on a $10 million bail. Miss Perla's state of early decomposition indicated that she had been dead for at least 48 hours prior to being found. Perla Ann Lewis was born on June 6 of 1957. Those who had the privilege of knowing her described her as a hilarious person who always had jokes and a funny story to tell. Miss Perla had 3 adult children, and she struggled with substance abuse disorder. At the time of her death, she was living near Church Street and Dubose Ave. Friends of hers say that she spent time in the Tenderloin. Perla was homeless. Although Miss Perla was homeless and struggled with substance abuse disorder at the time of her death, she had been trying to get her life back on track. At trial, her son, Kareem Marshall, testified that he and his 2 sisters had been helping their mom get back on her feet, and that despite her abusive relationship, things were looking up for her. The siblings last saw their mom on May 9th of 2010, which was Mother's Day, when Perla was baptized. In January of 2010, just 5 months before her murder, Miss Perla had been so badly beaten by Lee that she ended up in the hospital with 4 broken ribs and a head injury. At the time, it was difficult for authorities to even reach Lee because he had gone by several aliases, aka not his real name. When the SFPD finally did get a hold of him, the investigator made the horrible decision to interview Perla in the same room with her abuser. Even more alarming was the fact that a social worker filed a report in January of 2010 naming Lee Otha Bell as the man who had landed Perla in the hospital. On January 20th of 2010, SFPD Sergeant Al Lum was called to the UCSF Medical Center and interviewed Perla, who told the officer all about the horrible night she had just had with her boyfriend in a Tenderloin hotel. At the Tendy Hotel, she was badly beaten and held at knife point by her piece of shit boyfriend. She managed to escape and got herself to the hospital, where she was treated for several broken ribs and a large gash on her forehead. Like so many women of domestic violence situations, Perla was not ready to leave Lee, and when asked by Sergeant Al Lum who her abuser was, she gave him a fake name. The following day, Sergeant Lum came back, and when he arrived, he proceeded with the interview with both of them in the hospital room. In his report, the officer described how when he got to the room, he found Lee, quote, calmly eating sugar out of a packet, unquote. Domestic violence experts say that this is not supposed to happen, and separating the parties to get a complete statement without the danger of intimidation is crucial. Also comes the fact that Lee Bell was on probation, and had he been arrested, this may have not happened. The officers did their best with what they were presented with, and to their credit, the phone numbers Perla provided were no good, and she never showed up to the police station for her follow-up interview.